In the world buzzing with loud noises and flashing screens, let's journey somewhere different. Let's rediscover the magic of traditional storytelling through the simple joy of reading stories aloud. Welcome to the WorldStoryMind, where stories come alive in your mind. Hello, my dear friends. So tonight we are going to step into the world where shadows hold secrets and whispers carry tales long forgotten. I welcome you to the Bell Farm, a place steeped in history and mystery. Tonight's story is one of courage, family, and power of unseen bonds. Let's begin our journey into the past. The Carter family. Henry, Margaret, Lily, and young Max had traveled for days on their wooden wagon, creaking with each turn of the wheel. The year was 1820, a time when the world was changing. America was still very, very young, and the country's frontier was expanding westward. Okay, real quick, let's pivot to a little history lesson and talk about the westward expansion. The westward expansion in 19th century America was a transformative period, sparked by the 1803 Louisiana Purchase. President Thomas Jefferson acquired this vast territory from France for $15 million, doubling the nation's size. Jefferson believed that land ownership by small farmers was vital to a virtuous, independent republic. However, this expansion came at a high cost to Native Americans, leading to displacement, violent conflicts, and tragedies like the Trail of Tears. While Jefferson's vision of agrarian values shaped the nation, it also introduced conflict and division, making westward expansion one of the defining and the most challenging eras in United States history. Okay, let's go back to the story now. Life was simple but hard. The family had left the bustling towns for the peace and quiet of rural Tennessee, hoping for a fresh start. When they reached Bell Farm, nestled deep in a Tennessee valley, they found a place both beautiful and haunting. Rolling fields stretched out towards dense woods, where gnarled branches clawed at the twilight sky. The farmhouse stood proud but weathered, its faded paint peeled away like pages of an old book, revealing stories of times gone by. As they unpacked their belongings, Margaret set up a small hearth fire in the kitchen. "It's a new beginning," she said, her voice full of hope. The warm scent of cornbread baking in the oven filled the air. The family would make do with what they had, living off the land, growing crops like corn and beans and raising cattle. Food was hearty and simple, with stews often cooked over the fire and bread made from freshly ground flour. The family wasted no time settling in. Inside, the house brimmed with relics of the past, an old rocking chair that creaked even when still, a mirror tarnished with age, and shelves lined with jars of preserves covered with dust. "Look at this," Max exclaimed, holding up an old, tarnished bell he'd found in the attic. Margaret's face paled. "That's strange," she said, taking it from him. "Why would someone keep this tucked away? It looks like it belongs in a church." "Or a graveyard," Max whispered, earning a sharp look from his mother. The bell was heavy, etched with strange symbols, and gave off an odd sense of warmth when touched. Though unnerved, the family tucked it away, chalking it up to an quirks of the old house. One evening, as the family sat on the porch, enjoying the cool night air, Lily spotted a flickering light in the grove. "Do you see that?" she asked, pointing to the trees. Henry squinted. "It's just the moonlight reflecting off of something," he said, though his voice held a note of uncertainty. He wasn't too sure. Next morning, sure enough, curiosity got the better of Lily and Max. It's always the children. Armed with lantern and sketchbook, they ventured into the grove. The air grew colder as they entered, the towering trees blocking out the sunlight. Twisted roots clawed at the ground, and faint markings could be seen carved into the bark of several trees. "It's like someone's left a trail," Max whispered, shivering because of the cold. At the grove's center, they found an old well. It looked ancient, its stone covered in moss and ivy. As Max leaned over the edge to peer inside, a gust of wind swept through the trees, carrying with it faint whispers. "Do you hear that?" Lily's voice trembled. Max nodded. "It's coming from the well." A low hum vibrated the ground beneath them, and the siblings bolted back to the farmhouse, their imaginations running wild. In the days that followed, the whispers grew bolder. They no longer confined themselves to the grove. At night, the family could hear the faint, haunting sounds drifting across the fields, brushing against the farmhouse walls like ghostly tendrils. It was as if the grove was alive, watching them, beckoning them closer. One evening, as the family gathered around the hearth, Margaret, the mother, revealed her findings from an old ledger she had discovered in the attic. Its fragile pages were filled with handwritten notes, some faded and barely legible. "This house and the land have a history tied to the grove," she said, her voice wavering. "This ledger speaks of a family who lived here long ago and spoke of voices from the grove that called to them, promising answers to their deepest desires." "What happened to them?" Henry asked, his brow furrowed. Margaret hesitated before responding. "They vanished. All of them. No one knows where they went or what happened to them. But the whispers, they were beginning." Her words hung heavy in the air, and for a moment, no one spoke. Outside, the whispers seemed to rise in intensity, as if in response to Margaret's words. "You see, the Bell farm was named after the harvest bell, which signaled the start of the season. But there's more," Margaret said. "There's more to the story. There's a story of the Bell Witch." Max leaned in. "A witch? Like spells and potions?" Margaret shook her head. "No, not quite. The Bell Witch is a spirit. Some say a protector of the land, others say a curse. The legends warn us against disturbing her grove. It's said those who trespass there awaken her wrath." Henry leaned back at this point in his chair, skeptical. "Another ghost story to tell the kids to scare them?" "This isn't just a story," Margaret replied, her tone sharp. "It's history." Anyways, Henry dismissed the tale as superstition, but Lily and Max exchanged nervous glances, their thoughts lingering on the grove and its whispers. The children leaned closer, their wide eyes reflecting the flickering firelight. "The legend begins in the early 1800s, Margaret explains, when a man named John Bell settled not far from here. His family became the target of a malevolent spirit, or so the stories go. The spirit, believed to be a woman named Kate Batts, was said to torment the Bell family because of a land dispute. Kate had died because of pneumonia, but she came back to claim her property from John Bell." She paused, glancing at Lily and Max. The spirit didn't just haunt them with noises or tricks. She spoke to them, whispered secrets, even sang hymns in the dead of the night. Lily shuddered, hugging her knees to her chest. Margaret continued, her voice dropping to a whisper. "The haunting grew worse. Over the years, the spirit revealed itself as the Bell Witch. In 1820, John Bell died under mysterious circumstances. Some say it was the spirit's doing. People believe Bell Witch vanished after John Bell's death," Margaret said. "But others claim she lingered, tied to the land itself. Some say she protects it, while others believe she curses those who disturb her domain. And the Bell farm?" She hesitated, her eyes darkening. "Is said to be a part of that territory." "But why would she stay here?" Lily asked, her voice barely above the whisper. "Some believe she's not just one spirit, but many," Margaret replied. "A protector of women accused of witchcraft like Catherine Bell." Max tilted his head. "But Catherine wasn't a witch, right?" "Oh, no," Margaret said firmly. "She was a healer, a midwife, and a farmer who helped the poor. But the townsfolk didn't understand her. They accused her of curses when crops failed or animals died. Catherine sought refuge here, where the Bell Witch was rumored to dwell, thinking she'd find protection. Some say she did. Others claim she became part of the legend." Lily turned to her mother. a question burning in her eyes. "Do you think Catherine's spirit is haunting us?" Margaret sighed. "I don't know, but the legend mentioned that Catherine was said to have created sacred bond with this land, rituals, chants, and symbols to guard it from harm. If someone disturbed her sanctuary, they'd awaken the wrath of the Bell Witch." "Maybe we should leave," Max suggested, his voice crackling. But leaving wasn't an option, not yet. The farm was their livelihood, and despite the whispers, there was no proof of real danger. Over the following weeks, the whispers became more intrusive. The family would wake up in the middle of the night to hear their names being called, soft and insistent, as if spoken by someone just outside their windows. Objects began to move on their own, small things first, like teacups sliding across the table or the lantern falling from the hook. One night, Lily awoke to find her bedroom bathed in an otherworldly glow. She could hear the whispers more clearly than ever, and they seemed to be speaking directly to her, urging her to return to the grove. Terrified, yet drawn by an inexplicable compulsion, she stepped outside. "Lily!" Henry's voice broke through the haze as he rushed to her side, snapping her out of the trance. Together, they retreated back into the safety of the farmhouse. Well, at this point, the family knew they couldn't ignore the grove any longer. The land they had thought of as their refuge was steeped in chilling mystery that refused to let them be. The next day, the family returned to the grove, determined to understand its secrets. They found more than carvings on the tree. Hidden among the roots were trinkets left as offerings, coins, feathers, and bundles of dried herbs. In one corner, an old stone altar bore the same strange symbols etched into the bell Max had found in the attic. "These symbols," Margaret said, tracing her fingers over the markings, "are protection sigils. Catherine must have used them to call upon the Bell Witch to safeguard her sanctuary." "But why would the whispers tell us to come here?" Lily asked. Margaret hesitated. "Maybe the spirit isn't angry with us. Maybe it's asking for help." Later that evening, the family pored over Catherine Bell's journal. Her entries told of sleepless nights, shadowy figures watching from the grove, and her desperate efforts to make peace with the spirits. One passage stood out. "The bell must remain in its place. It binds the grove to the earth and the spirits in their rest. Without it, chaos will reign, and the land will wither." Margaret's hand shook as she read the passage aloud. "Max," she said, "you didn't just find any bell. You found the binding bell." "What does that mean?" Max asked, his voice trembling. "It means," Henry said, standing, "we need to put it back where it belongs." That night, as the family prepared to return the bell to the well, Margaret shared one final chilling detail. "There's one part of the Bell Witch legend that has always stayed with me. People say she doesn't leave this land because it's her sanctuary too. If she were to leave, the souls she guards, Catherine's included, would be lost forever." "Lost?" Max asked, clutching the bell tightly. "They'd become shadows," Margaret said, "wandering between worlds, never finding peace." The family moved as one, their resolve strengthened by the weight of the legend and the responsibility they now carried. As they approached the well, the whispers grew louder, weaving through the air like an eerie chant. The cold bit at the skin, sharp and unyielding. Surrounding the well, they noticed faint glimmers of light among the trees, leading them towards a cluster of overgrown vines. Beneath the tangled greenery, Henry uncovered two ancient wooden beams, weathered but sturdy, forming an archway, a rusted iron hook protruding from the top beam. "This must be it," Henry said, brushing dirt off the wood. "The place where the bell belongs." Lily opened the journal, her fingers trembling as she read aloud. "Hang the bell in its rightful place and ring it while reciting the promise to protect the land." Margaret stepped closer, inspecting the beams. The carvings on them matched the symbols on the well and the surrounding trees, as well as the bell. "It's part of the ritual," she said. "The bell was always meant to hang here." Henry carefully climbed the beams, securing the bell to its rightful place on the hook. The iron creaked softly as it settled, swaying gently in the breeze. The family stared at the bell, its presence almost commanding. Lily turned back to the journal. "Are we ready?" she asked, her voice unsteady. The family exchanged glances, then nodded. Lily gripped the bell's rope, her hands trembling. She pulled gently, and the bell let out a chilling, melodic chime that echoed through the grove. The whispers around them surged, rising into a cacophony of voices. But Lily's voice cut through as she read the promise loud. "We swear to care for this land and its secrets, to honor the spirits who protect it, and to ensure its peace remains undisturbed." The family joined hands, their voices uniting as they repeated the words together. "We swear to care for this land and its secrets, to honor the spirits who protect it, and to ensure its peace remains undisturbed." The final note of the bell faded into silence. The air shifted, the cold melted away, replaced by a warm breeze that carried the scent of earth and flowers. The whispers quieted, dissolving into stillness of the night. The carvings on the trees glimmered faintly before fading, leaving the grove bathed in serene glow. For the first time in weeks, the land felt at peace. Margaret's voice broke the silence. "It's done," she said softly. Family stood together, their hearts lighter, knowing they had restored balance to the grove. From that night on, the farm seemed lighter, more vibrant. The animals were calmer, the crops grew taller, and the family no longer felt the weight of unseen eyes watching them. As they sat around the hearth one night, Max asked, "Do you think she's really gone?" "No," Lily said, with a smile. "I just think she's finally home." So, my dear friends, the story teaches us a lesson that every challenge has its solution. You just have to be brave, resilient, and open to guidance, even from unexpected sources, like a journal. With that, have a great night.